Welcome to the virtual tour of Launching Savannah's Art Scene, the founders of the Savannah Art Club. My name is Courtney McNeil and I'm the Chief Curator at Telfair Museums, and I'm excited to be sharing this exhibition with you today. So we pulled this exhibition together to celebrate the fact that in February of 1920, so just over 100 years ago, a group of local artists in Savannah came together to found a society to enhance the enjoyment and appreciation of the fine arts. It includes work by some of Savannah's favorite artists from the 1920s and the 30s. We were focusing in on the founding members of the Savannah Art Club to explore the questions of what the art world looked like in Savannah at that time, what types of subject matter these artists were drawn to, what educational opportunities were available to them, and other questions about the context in which they were working. So the exhibition is divided into a number of segments and tells a number of stories. One of those stories is that of the visiting instructors who came into Savannah from New York and other places to offer the finest artistic instruction to the artists of Savannah. Some of those artists, such as Elliot Clark and William Chadwick, are included in the exhibition. In this image, we see Elliot Clark, who is the dapper gentleman in the white bloomers, and he's with one of his art classes painting outdoors in Savannah. So the folks who are painting at their easels are members of the Savannah Art Club, and Clark has come in from New York to be an expert art instructor. And so it's interesting to look at this image and reflect on the fact that just like the Impressionists over in Paris and artists working at the major urban hubs of the United States, the artists here in Savannah were embracing this idea of plein air painting and getting outdoors to paint directly from nature. You see that in a lot of their work. This celebration of light, color, and atmosphere really comes across in their canvases. So the two paintings you see on the right-hand side of this image are both by Elliot Clark and are both from Telfair's permanent collection. I chose to begin the exhibition with these two works to emphasize how these visiting artists coming to Savannah from all over found inspiration in the unique environment and landscape that Savannah presented and offered. Focusing in on this particular canvas by Clark, you can see his interest in the tonal qualities of the landscape. This is a view of Savannah's River Street at a time when it was not the tourist hub that it is today, but rather an industrial site and a working port. Savannah was a very active port at that time, as it remains today. Stepping into the back gallery of the exhibition, you see several other groupings. One is a grouping of portraits of artists, including self-portraits, as well as portraits by people who were close to them. Another is a selection of works showing the different contexts in which these artists were working in Savannah, whether that was a painting class or a sketching session out on the Wilmington River. And then, of course, we look at all the different types of subject matter these artists were exploring as well. Everything from the requisite live oaks, Spanish moss, and azalea scenes to wonderful still lifes and to genre scenes showing everyday life in the Savannah area. This still life by Emma Cheeves Wilkins is one of the highlights of the exhibition. It's a favorite work in the museum's permanent collection, and it really shows off her mastery in the handling of paint, the use of color, her expressive brush strokes, and of course the wonderful reflections that you get in the brass urn in the background. And Wilkins is also important to Telfair because she is part of the early lineage of art students here in Savannah, because she studied under Telfair's very first director named Carl Brandt. So she had been part of the Telfair from its earliest days, and then would go on to play an active role in the founding of the Savannah Art Club in the 1920s and 30s. This view shows some of the portraits included in the exhibition, including the spectacular portrait of Margaret Murphy, painted by her brother Christopher Murphy Jr. at the far right. And then the bust in the center of this image is actually a depiction of William Washington Gordon, not a founder of the Savannah Art Club, but the grandfather of one of the founders. And he was the grandfather of Juliette Gordon Low, who, although she died in the late 1920s and her life dates didn't overlap by a lot with the years of activity for the Savannah Art Club, she was one of the founding members and she was active in the club. She was also a talented artist in her own right, as you can see by this really skilled bust. Now, we're grateful to the city of Savannah for lending this portrait bust to the museum. They had to take it off view, where it's normally on view in city council chambers, and we're grateful for that loan, of course. Going back through the records of the Savannah Art Club, it's also interesting to note that Juliette Gordon Low, who famously founded the Girl Scouts, at one of the early meetings of the Savannah Art Club, brought her design for the proposed flag for the Girl Scouts of America and gained critique from the fellow members of the Savannah Art Club on the design of the flag. So these are just a few of the highlights of the exhibition Launching Savannah's Art Scene, the founders of the Savannah Art Club. I'm so excited to be able to bring them to you virtually today, and I hope that when the museum opens back up, you'll all be able to join us to come in and see them and admire them in person. Thank you.